Welcome back. This is the Can Report. I'm Bill Beck, your host and ear trumpet for listening to what needs to be heard. Today we have three guests, Judy Rottinghouse, retired member of Waterloo Fire Rescue, and two current members of Waterloo Fire Rescue, Hillary Mayer and Ani Agbasi. They all have their own voices in a male-dominated vocation, so sometimes they get lumped together because they're quote-unquote women of the fire service. That's an incredibly unfair and lazy assessment of each of these individuals. Today's episode is just a glimpse at each of their individuality. Enjoy. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Can Report. We've got three guests today. We have Judy Rottinghouse, former retired Waterloo Fire Rescue paramedic firefighter, and we have two current Waterloo Fire members. We have Hillary Mayer.
Close enough.
Meyer. It's Meyer, isn't it?
Nailed it, yep.
Hillary Meyer, and I was worried about the other one. Ani Agbesa. Good?
Uh-huh.
Your brother is also a firefighter and fairly imposing size-wise, and he tailboarded for me a lot as a lieutenant, so I always tried to get it right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Perfect. I appreciate you guys coming in on a beautiful day like today and taking some time out. Let's start first with just a little bit about each of you. Judy, talk a little bit about yourself.
Before fire?
And yeah, basically where you grew up, type of deal.
I grew up on a farm, 4 girls, very sheltered in North Springs. And so with all girls coming on to a department of 130 men, the learning curve was more like a mountain range. But we grew up there, had chores to do, and it served us well. We're all in very strong male-dominated fields, and it worked well for us, and I'm so glad.
Right. When did you come on? What year?
97.
1997, and that was
11.
you were part of the 11 when they opened up Station 6 again.
Right.
Excellent. We had Ty Graham on earlier in the season, and he was part of that group as well, if I remember right. Yep.
Yeah.
How about you, Hillary?
I grew up in Waverly, Iowa, small town close to here. Single only child. My dad was a firefighter, but in a different town than me. But I remember seeing him and always thought that was something that I wanted to do. So when I had the opportunity, decided to go for it.
Awesome. Ani?
I was actually born in Chicago, but grew up in Waterloo, graduated from East High. Went to college in Cedar Rapids at Coe College. My family wasn't involved in any kind of fire service. It's just something that I literally saw an ad in the newspaper for about 12 years ago and decided to start applying for it.
So it's been 12 years already?
Yeah. Well, no, that's when I started
Oh,
applying.
gotcha.
That's when I started failing the test. But
Perfect. How many times did you take the test?
I took it 3 times.
3 times?
Yeah.
How about you, Hillary?
Twice.
Twice? Judy?
Once.
Wow.
3, 2, 1.
That was there was some tone on the one.
They've made it harder since then.
For what? Not to brag, for Waterloo, I took it one time.
Yeah.
But
Sounds like bragging.
yeah, I was also a group of a lot that got hired, so that helped out a lot. You mentioned something, Judy, that when you came in, you 3 siblings, all sisters. Hillary, you had no siblings,
None.
and Ani, I know you have at least you have 3
I
brothers.
have 3 brothers and 1 sister, yeah.
So you come up from the largest family.
Yeah.
That's interesting, the idea that I grew up with 2 sisters, both older and both readily able to beat me as a child, with reason often. Did you ever have that feeling growing up of something to prove? And what I mean by that is, I was always one of the littler ones in my class. I was one of the smallest ones that played football. I never really felt that need to prove myself. I just wanted not to die. But once I got into the fire service, it absolutely kicked in for me of that feeling of I want to prove myself. Did you have that going in? Do you feel those feelings now at all?
I did not have it going in. We girls were never held back from what we wanted to do. Dad and Mom were very supportive, and there was nothing we couldn't do in their minds. We could try it, and we did, and it worked fine. But yes, coming on here, now it's not just proving to my parents and my friends, but proving to my guys and the community that I can do the job. And was being held to a standard that used to be me holding myself to that standard, and now it was someone else, as it should be. And then I picked up the slack. I finally caught up.
Yeah.
But they did well with me. It was good.
And it's to be noted that there's not a female's physical agility and a male's physical agility. We all do the same one. It doesn't matter if you're 21 or 51. You do the same test.
Well, and I'm a big girl. We're not standing, but I'm a big girl, and so part of it was, Judy, I want to make sure you can pull my butt out of a fire. Can you pull mine out? So you're right. There was no change between females and males doing it. It was all the same. Had they made it different for females, I don't know that I might have tested somewhere else. I don't want that hanging over me.
Right. Yeah. I know I've helped proctor the physical agility test, and whenever someone asks me what does it take to go through it, you have to have be mentally strong, because your body will quit before your mind wants. Your mind will quit before your body needs to. But 2, you just got to have some mass once in a while. Again, being on the smaller half of the fire department, to watch. I'll tell you, one of my first fires with Mike Zimmerly. Mike was on a podcast with Levi last year. Mike's a 2-time state champion wrestler at heavyweight, 240 pounds of fast twitch muscle. And we're at this freezing cold barn fire on the edge of town, and it's all 2.5. It's all out there. The wind's blowing, and I'm holding this 2.5, and all of a sudden I just feel a wall come up behind me, and it was Mike. And he was as fresh as a daisy. Granted, he was younger than I am, but that's not by any means the whole story. Having that mass when it comes to mass versus mass is always important. So for anyone that's smaller, obviously I have a little bit more of a soft spot in my heart for those people that can do it, because it's that much more desire that they want. I shouldn't say that. I can't say that a larger person doesn't have desire, but I know that that smaller person wanted it a little bit more. You mentioned, Judy, when you came on, there's 130 you were part of 130 firefighters, right? The department that it currently sits at 105 firefighters. So in 20, do the math quick, 25 years since 97.
Okay.
Right?
Yep. Close enough.
You're the math. No, you're the math one, aren't you?
I'm the French one.
The French, that's it. We've lost 25 spots through attrition, and it's always the same: do more with less. Do more with less. What was it like with? I don't want to say that many people, because it was the norm for you at the time.
It was the norm, and especially bringing 11 of us on at one time was a boon for the guys who were already there. I mean, it took them forever to learn their names.
Yeah.
I was just Judy.
They could pick you out.
Yeah.
So they had to get used to it too. So right, it's all we knew, and then it just slowly started tapering off to the point where you lose a little bit of blood at a time until you just. And I think I'm not saying that's where you guys are at now, but I can't imagine.
We're a little bare bonesy right now, for sure. But one of the things that I think as fire service grows, especially a EMS-based fire service grows, is all 3 of you served on the ambulance, or currently serve on the ambulance. Obviously, with 80% of fire calls being EMS related, the need for paramedics, and good paramedics, is paramount. Were you a paramedic, Judy, when you started?
I did my ride time for my paramedic with Waterloo Fire.
Okay.
So that's how I found out that the fire was just as much fun as paramedic. Because when I was doing ride time, which at that time was only 240 hours, it was, can you just be a paramedic? Do you have to be a firefighter? And yeah, you do.
Yep.
Well, then once you come on, you get your firefighter 1, and then it was like, oh, that's kind of fun. I like that too. But you feed a different need in the community as a firefighter, I think, as you do a paramedic, and you girls probably have found out too, that, and it was one of my biggest things that I say, like to Girl Scouts or anyone, why can't girls be firefighters? Well, I'm not strong enough. Work out. Why can't girls be firefighters? I said, let me tell you why girls can be better firefighters, paramedics than guys. Because society won't let a guy hug a child without being worried about being reported. Little old ladies, even ladies, don't always like to be hugged by strange men. No problem. Old men love being hugged by women. And if it's a rape victim, a female one, it's awkward for her to have a guy back there taking care of her. So it's just things that we can study all we want. And society, and you guys can study all you want, society won't let you do what is often the best medicine needed at that time, and that's just a touch, a hug, anything like that. And that's unfair.
It is. And I hearken back to a call I had when I was on 31 of a rape victim, and it was brutally sad. She was crumpled up at the bottom of the stairs, completely naked. It was me and a male partner and 2 male police officers. You know, I can put a blanket on you. I can tell you, okay, we're going to get you help. But it wasn't until a female police officer showed up that she would do anything. And then she would walk out to the ambulance, and I asked her, would you please ride with us, because I can't do anything. You know, and that is as paramedic, you understand, as a paramedic, it sucks when you can't do anything to help. And you know they need help. You know, we're not talking about my big toe hurts for the past 3 weeks, I want to go to the hospital. We're talking about immediate care if we can give it. And that's a great point that doesn't get brought up very often.
And I don't know how to change it.
I don't either. And I've seen, there are some of the most compassionate men I've ever met in the fire service, and it doesn't matter because the victim doesn't know them like I know them. You know, they don't know that Dave Floyd gives the greatest hugs in the world. It is. It happens once and you realize it.
You know, a quick example of how the guys handle stuff like that without saying they are caring or whatever. My first child fatality motor vehicle accident, and didn't go well for the child, and so we're back at the hospital doing our reports, and I was on the nozzle actually, and my chief said go ahead and go in there. It was driving me crazy not being able to do treatment. And we're at the hospital, we're all doing our reports, and this is Judy, it's her first baby death, she has babies. So every time someone walked by, they just or we get back to the station, I'm back in the bedroom trying to learn streets. Pretty soon one of the guys comes back, and we don't go to the bedrooms during the day, unless you're studying. Comes back, sits in his bed. Another guy comes back, and I'm trying to study. Sits in his bed. Pretty soon they start talking. Pretty soon all 4 of the guys are back there. And we're talking about everything but the baby. And that's how you do it.
Yep.
If you had to talk about it, you could have. But that's how it's done.
Right.
It works for us.
Yeah, it does.
Until it doesn't, and then we also have things we can do about that.
Exactly.
Sam Hess is a good one.
Yep. Oh, absolutely. We since you've been gone, we've come leaps and bounds with people like Sam Hess. That I think those group of guys get a lot more conversations than you would imagine, because we want to be stoic on the outside and we don't want anyone to know anything like that. So it is important that we have those outlets. But just as you said too, it's that importance, and you two have learned that as well. It's probably easier. Again, I'm a downtown guy. I'm institutionalized. It's probably easier at the sub houses because it's smaller. It's a little more intimate of a setting. Where at Station 1 or even kind of Station 2, which is a newer one, there's a lot of places to hide. You can't hide at Station 5. You're either here or you're downstairs.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys, how Hillary and Ani, how do you deal with those types of calls?
We actually just had one. Pediatric cardiac arrest.
You had to get, like, you were
Last week.
together?
It was, I wasn't with Ani on it, but baby didn't make it, 2-year-old. So, and it's the same thing you said, if I needed to talk about it, I could have. I felt like I could have, but, it's just guys, you get back and they all know the call you just went on. They heard the information on the radio, and it's just, however, it's just like a little elbow, or if it's, are you good? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. It's the same thing. Nothing's changed.
It works.
I know you had one not too long ago too,
like
right?
a month and a half ago or so, and like I said, it's the same thing. even getting texts or calls from people who weren't on the call. They just heard the call and
Yep.
kind of know what was going on or know the situation. Like even at the hospital, people just know that's the harder call that you have to deal with. So there's always people reaching out to you.
Yep.
And I bet you guys reach out too. Yeah.
Ideally, we have almost two groups to reach out to. We have all the guys, all of us that did it, and then we have the outside group. So, and the outside group can be just important. I know I'm lucky. I've got a wonderful supporting wife that I would say that if she was here or not. I remember it was my first year on 31, so I was 2 years as a medic, and it was a little boy that got hit, riding his bike, got hit by a van, and it wasn't super gruesome. He was, his breathing was off. He definitely had some sort of head injury. We did everything we could. We got to the hospital, and when it's going on, it's business as usual. It's let's go, I've got the next thing to do, and I called Angie on the app floor of Old Covenant, and I bawled my head off for 5 minutes, and God bless her, she was like, "Are you good now?" She listened. She was compassionate. And she just knew I couldn't do that at that point in my career to anyone else.
Right.
And it's just important that you have those two different sections that you can vent off to and in a good, appropriate way.
Yeah. You don't leave it at work. You take it home, and it affects those people who are closest to you. So,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you gotta
Yep. And no
those
matter how
places
many outlets you have, I think when you leave this job, you're different, and I have the personal opinion that by the time I'm done in this world, PTSD will almost be read like the autism spectrum,
Ooh,
where it's just you're just somewhere on the level somewhere. And I think that's honestly, I don't think you can go through this job without increasing up the dial. And that doesn't mean that you can't be okay, and that doesn't mean that you don't have a good time, but it's just those things will always stay with you.
Do you think PTSD is a medical condition that can be, autism, we pretty much have decided it's workable. It's not anything you can treat. Can you treat PTSD when you say it's going to be on the same?
Maybe treat, in my opinion, is probably the wrong thing. I think we can learn to cope with, if that makes sense. You can have the ways to get by your day, and we see it with military people that have service dogs.
Yeah.
Those types of things where you can learn to cope and you can learn to deal with it. Obviously, we want to make sure, as a battalion chief, my main concern is everyone's safety, and that includes mental health, on wanting to make sure that we don't get to that point. If you want a dog, let's get a dog, but don't have a service dog that I can't pet. That's not fair to me.
Oh, I forgot it's all about you.
It's it's not really in the name, but yes. It's been a while since we worked together, so that's understandable.
How's your therapy going?
It's going all right. I'm on my 7th therapist, but they said the last 2 will probably come out of their own therapy pretty soon.
I missed that.
Yeah. Right. I don't talk like that to other people.
Well, and when I was done working, my daughter reminded me I can't talk that way to other people either.
And
it's not swearing.
It's not swearing. It's just
blatant truth,
yeah,
basically.
a little gallows humor, I think, is the term for it. And that's just one more way that we vent out, and it can't always be serious.
Thank goodness.
One of the things about not being serious, and Judy, you'll know these days because you were probably an instigator more than you were an instigatee. Well, and it doesn't happen very much anymore. It's just pranks. When I came on, it was a time before cell phones. So you walk underneath the door, there's always the chance that you're going to get a bucket of water poured on you. Or water guns that are going to turn into squirt guns. Or...
Can I tell just a few?
Yeah, that's what I'm leading up to. What was your best prank given?
Best? Oh, given to me.
No. I meant that you did to someone else.
There was a few of them. One was when I came on, of course, you're at headquarters to begin with, and I brought vanilla hazelnut coffee. Well, there's a Bun coffee maker, 2 of them, so you could have regular and you could have foo-foo coffee. I never drank the foo-foo coffee. But they let me keep bringing it because, Judy needs foo-foo coffee. They just found out at breakfast a couple months ago that they love it. A couple of them did.
Right.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought it. So I'm glad, too, because I wasn't going to drink that. You never drink? I said, no, I just brought it to mess with you.
I like those. Those are like the really slow, long burns.
Forever. And then another one, we brought a water fight downtown from 8's, and probably shouldn't have because there were some disciplinary actions going on that weren't funny to the people we were joining. Well, we just kept up with it. Someone brought a garden hose into the quiet room, got me in the hallway, and I was just soaked with the garden hose. And Chief Magsamen comes walking down the hall. Of course, he's not a chuckler.
No, he's
Cohen chuckles, but he's not. And he suit over his shoulder. Firefighter Rottinghouse, what's going on? I said, Thursday inspection of the sprinkler systems. All systems go, sir. There's no sprinkler system test, you know that.
Yeah.
Carry on. Back on out. So,
The one that comes to mind I remember is there's something about you had another firefighter sharpen your chainsaw chain.
oh, you heard about that?
You told me about it.
Well, I was proud of it.
Yeah, you should have been. It's a great prank.
Okay, can I tell it?
Absolutely.
Without saying names?
I want to know.
You can say names.
Yeah, I feel.
So without it being a sexist thing, Razor would sharpen my chainsaw's blades if I would fill his freezer with strawberry rhubarb jam. Win-win. So brought him and he sharpened them, and I said, I'm going to my sister's in southeast Minnesota or Iowa tomorrow. Gonna work in her yard. I need them really sharp. He says, well, I'm going to put a cusp in each of the teeth, so it's going to pull you into the tree, Judy. Do not let anyone else use your saws. I said, I won't. Went there, worked great. They were awesome. They pulled me into the tree. It felt good. Come back. He's at one station. I stopped at my station, and I was wearing, capris. So down on my shin, I took a magic marker and I wrote, gotcha. And then I put iodine over that. And then I put ketchup over that. And then I put a pressure dressing over that. And then I went to his station. And I limped out of the car and he goes, hey, what the? I said, I know. I know. Would you just quit? How bad is it? I said, I don't know. I need you to look. When did it happen? I said, this morning, which wasn't a lie. And he says, get in here, look at it. He used to be a medic too. And I said, I'm not letting them think I can't play with my toys. You come out here and look at it. So he starts. I said, just be careful. I know. I said, well, just stop bleeding. Don't start again. Well, he was just every other. I learned a lot of words. And he starts unwrapping it. And already after the first wrap, I can smell ketchup. And he's smelling copper, blood, all this stuff. And he gets down to the very last one, pulls it off, expecting blood, and sees, gotcha. And then I learned more words. It's like,
Did he rewrap it for you?
no. I think he tried wrapping this.
Nice.
But, yeah, I don't know. The guys I talked to, they said, they didn't ask us this in my interview, being hired, but how do you handle practical jokes? Did they ask you that?
No.
They asked you that? Mm-mm. I was teethed on them. My dad was the best.
Yeah.
So bring it.
That was always so much from putting, we had the old-fashioned mattresses with springs, and you would put a pop can under each one of the legs so that it's dark. And the hint always I was told was, if it's 8 o'clock at night and everybody's in bed, they're doing something in your bed right now. So you would go up, and clearly the bed is 6 inches taller. You recognize that. But it's dark. You don't dare turn a light on. So you just sit on the bed, and it smashes down, echoing throughout the entire bedroom.
Along with the chuckles.
Yeah.
Another one was at 4. It's all dark when you go in. You don't have your night vision yet. And my bed was right around the corner. And I went to pull the blanket down, and it was a turkey decoy. That big. I won't mention any names, but it was Dirt-E.
Mm-hmm.
And
Had a fat head.
couldn't tell in the dark. So I just took it and went in the kitchen, put it in a pot of water, and they found it there the next morning. I didn't turn the fire on. Not a word was said.
Mm-hmm.
Checkmate.
Yep. I know there's a taxidermy stuffed raccoon that makes the rounds every once in a while. There's a
Squirrel.
There's a squirrel?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because when it's on the floor of the freight liner and you open the door, it's right there.
It's right there. Yep. Mm-hmm. And once you got, and they know what gets you, then you have to be on red alert all the time for a while until we, as general rule, firefighters forget. But typically we don't forget pranks. It's something that, as a battalion chief, I'm glad we don't have any more of, and there won't be injuries or any type of problems. But as a firefighter, I do miss those ideas. That's not an allowance of anyone to get me the water, by the way. I always have my phone. It's an old phone. It's not waterproof. All right. How many years did you have on, Judy?
17 and a half.
And why did you leave, if you don't mind talking about that?
My health. 2010, I donated a kidney. I don't know who got it. 2011, gangrenous appendix removed. Did a 24-hour shift. And when I got off, I went to the hospital. By then it was bad. So I was June 2010, donated 10, 11, gangrenous appendix, 12.
Were the two related? I mean, did they nip it or something? It just happened to be.
No, it was all good. Kidney is awesome thing. And the recipient's insurance pays for it. I had no charges at all for that. And so then appendix, and next year, June, at a car fire, and pain. Well, turns out it was an incisional hernia from where they had taken the kidney out 2 years before. Well, if you've ever had a hernia before, it's like those fidget poppet things. You just lay down and grunt, and this thing comes out, and you push it back down. And it's just like, until it starts hurting, and then it's not fun anymore. So they put mesh in there, and 3 days later, I got a call from another doctor saying that looking at your pictures from when they put the mesh in, and there's a spot on your pancreas that concerns me. I have you into Mayo tomorrow. Can you be there? Mayo diagnosed a precancerous, non-symptomatic tumor on my pancreas of the same family of cancer my mom had died of 8 months before. If I hadn't donated the kidney 2 years before, which then caused the incisional hernia, which made them take pictures to find the non-symptomatic tumor, I'd be dead.
That's an amazing story.
It is definitely a God thing. And so then with the pancreas, they removed half of it, the tail half of it, and I was diabetic for 3 days, and got back to work. And then I had some more flare-ups of things. So once I got healthy again and was strong enough, I wanted to go off kicking butt and not from light duty. So that's why I left when I did. And it's been good.
How long ago you left?
I left in 2014.
Wow, that's already
A
6
long
years,
time.
yeah.
I know.
How many years do you have on, Ani?
Almost 7. Yeah.
Almost 7. So you work together.
No, she stopped in 14. I started in 15.
We
Okay.
play together.
Yeah. How old are you, Ani? How long do you have left to get to 55?
Are you allowed to ask a woman that?
I cringed and I let it be known I stuttered a little more than I normally stutter.
I have no problem. I'm 35.
35?
Yeah.
So how old were you when you got hired then?
I was whatever minus 7 years.
28-ish?
28, I assume.
Yeah. So you'll have, at 55, you'll have 28-ish, 27, 28,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Think you'll go at 55? You're healthy. You're in good shape.
That's
Run
now.
marathons.
As of now, right?
There's a lot that can happen in 20 years, so I mean, I would like to be able to go at 55. Yeah.
But you, Hillary, you have 2 on now?
Yep, almost.
Hillary, for the full, was my first interview as battalion chief in the chief's interview. She did okay.
Appreciate it.
I think I gave her a 6. So, how old are you then?
I'm 30, so I got hired at 28.
That's right. You're not only were you the first one, you mentioned that you were a month. You're a March baby, right? You're a month older than my oldest son.
Oh.
Yep. So you'll have 26-ish on at 55. Something you think you'll want to leave at 55. What's the mindset for? I mean, I know for me when I got on, it was 55 and I've got to be done. I've got to have a plan on how to get out. Is that something that still younger people like you think about?
Yeah. I think, there's obviously numerous benefits to this job, but one of them, I think, is that I can be done at 55, and I still hopefully, God willing, have a lot of healthy years left after that to enjoy however I want to. And I plan on doing that.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're also part of the early parenthood program, like I was,
am.
is what I remembered.
I am,
And Angie and
yeah.
I have talked about that of, we didn't get those years after high school and college to go goof around.
I'm going to be back in the bar at 55.
I know it.
Partying
Yeah.
like I'm 21.
Do so many things.
And I was like 38 when I was hired. And so in the interview, they said, they knew my age, but so without saying I was old, saying, Judy, you will be bringing a maturity to this department.
Oh, that's nicely.
That we don't normally get with rookies. Little did they know.
Yeah.
And also, Judy, I would imagine it's been a long time since someone has told you what to do. Well, and live to tell about it, yes, sir.
Yeah, right. That you're going to find their bodies? Uh-huh. Yeah. What did you do before?
I ran a weaving business. I had 5 antique floor looms and sold nationwide, like rag rugs and tablecloths and stuff like that.
Do you still, I know at the time when we worked together, you still did a lot of stained glass.
Yeah, that's a phase I go through, and I just, once I've done it, I'm done. But then
Yeah.
I want to do a wedding gift, so then I do that.
Right.
So I do have 1 loom left, but I have been able to keep up with the chainsaws. I've had a couple minor accidents, and for like a month, my family hid my chainsaw from me.
Well, that's not fair.
I didn't think so, but I'm back at it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ani, what do you do in your time off for fun?
Other than running.
I said for fun.
That is for fun. So
Yeah.
like me and my boyfriend, we'll go to a lot of different places to run. Like I ran a marathon in Iceland, I ran a half in Aruba, and then I'm trying to do a half and a full in all 50 states.
Cool.
Yeah.
What was, take away the distance.
Okay.
What did you like better, Aruba or Iceland?
Weather-wise,
Did you sweat?
Which one would you retire to?
Iceland, I like the weather better. I don't like
Yeah.
the extreme heat, and it was just hot every day in Aruba.
How about you, Hillary? What do you like to do?
I was really hoping you were going to ask me after something as cool as running.
Well, yeah, no
marathon in every
kidding.
state.
I'm not saying what I do now.
I honestly, I hang out with my kids a lot. I'm still in, I mean, my oldest is 12 and plays travel ball, and they all got their activities. So check back with me in 10 years and see what I
Right.
like to do for fun. Right now, I'm really
Yeah.
not sure.
How old are your kids?
I have 2 boys who are 12 and 10, and my daughter's 5.
Right. And I like the daughter. I like the daughter. The boys are whatever. But
Yeah, right.
Delilah, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I like when she comes to the station because she's bossy.
So bad.
She reminds me of you,
How
Judy.
did she get?
A little bit. But also, full
It'll
disclosure,
serve
I
her
was
well.
I was a peon tailboarder when Judy was at Station 8, and I was out there a lot with you rode with Cole Southworth at the time, and Tom Powers was your lieutenant, and Dean Smock was the driver. Yeah, it was such a I always could tell as soon as I came in that it was such a close knit, well oiled machine of mature. You could say that. My only dig I could ever do was, and I'm not a huge TV watcher at the station, but I knew at 4 o'clock on CMT or the Nash, whatever it was, the Dukes of Hazzard came on. And it was so unlike Station 8 to watch the Dukes of Hazzard that I'd always have it on. And Dean would always come out and, watch something educational I see. But he would sit down and he wouldn't watch, but would read the paper for that hour episode of the Duke Boys. And I always thought of
I
him.
had a call, 2 o'clock in the morning. She was cutting my hair. She cut my ear off. I'm bleeding. Well, head cuts bleed, but an ear. So we go and we get there and we put a Band-Aid on it. It wasn't that bad at all. So we get back in the rig and 3:38, 10:08. Van goes a no-go. It took her like 40 seconds to come back on and put us down.
Yeah.
You got to make your own fun.
Right. It's currently, it's like, let's be really professional to the dispatchers. Let's not say those things. But I was known to we got called to this is probably somewhat inappropriate of a story to tell right now, being the only guy here. We got called to one of the strip clubs. And the dispatcher at the time was Karen, Karen Costello. She had been there forever. You couldn't rattle Karen. And it was 3:31 going to blah, 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 strip club. For a fall, inside, they state the patient is just outside the back door. So clearly, my first comment on the radio was like, can you say that again? Do you want me to go in the back door? And it was static. I got her. The only time I ever got Karen was that one.
When I was new, before they knew that I was as bad as them, Dave Lingenfelder, they were doing construction on the pad at headquarters, and we were coming in with 31. He says, you're going to have to go in the back door. And I didn't know what that meant. I mean it, I was sheltered.
Nora Springs, guys.
There were a number of times I'd go out. I mean, the guys would do their little guy chuckle, and it's like, okay, something else I don't
Yeah.
know.
Put it in the book.
I'd go out to the shop and I asked Reese Peterson, the only one older than me, who was hired older. I said, okay, I said, no. Oh, Judy, sit down on the silver plate. And then he'd have to tell me, I'm going, I'll use that one.
Yeah. No, that's a good one. Yeah. Heck yeah. So, on the outside looking in, being retired, is there anything you wish you would have done in the job?
You know, I liked paramedics so much because I got to do the touching, hugging, whatever. I really, really, really liked that. But it's hard on your body. Since firefighting, it's not it's not an older person's job. So I would have stayed in the paramedic forever, except for Tom and Dean saying, your body's not going to last forever. You need to at least take the engineer's test and have that to fall back on if something happens that you can't do the lifting that you do now. So I did. But I took the position, but I did not. I took
You got promoted.
But
You stayed on the ambulance.
Right.
And
Because when you're on the engine and you want to touch people, it's just like, Judy, no.
Yep.
Do that on the...
right. Yeah. You're going to bring that back in the truck. No. Certainly one of the benefits of technology is the cots. Now, I mean, when I started out on cots, they were the H-frame strikers, and it was great to take out aggression on. Once you just hauled a frequent flyer, you just had a really rotten night, and you just cleaned the ambulance before you went home. That H-frame body was meant to, you'd hold the button in and you would slam it into the back of the ambulance and it would just fold up. So that was the only benefit of those. Otherwise, they've got, power cots, they've got power loads now even.
Well, the kitchen cupboards, you can't slam them anymore.
No, they're all the soft close.
Yes.
How am I supposed to prove a point?
Where do I go to
You can't slam a phone down anymore. You can only aggressively press the button.
Right.
Yep. So things like that, I think, are going to hopefully make paramedic careers longer. To where the point is, again, just like the physical agility test where your mind gives up before your body. Now, that hopefully can still stay in line because we're starting to see those things. We're starting to get the ergonomic?
Yeah.
Biological, kinesiologically type of...
Just say easier.
Yeah, right. We find the easier ways to load patients, that maybe the shoulder and the back injuries are going to start to decrease. We know we have increases in cancer. So if we can at least get some wins in other categories and still work towards that cancer prevention, we're doing the right thing.
While I was there, very seldom would an engine company complain if you called them out just to help with lifting. I mean, many of them have been there before as medics, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning. You haven't had a chance to do any stretching or anything, and there's this heavy load that you got to pick up, and then they get out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning too, and come and help lift, put it in the ambulance, and then go back to bed.
Yep.
They could complain, but we take care of each other.
I remember when I first got on the ambulance, there were those old school medics that were now drivers or lieutenants of, you called me to help you do what? I'd have gotten called in the chief's office if I'd have done that. You don't call a truck for that.
You know what Mike Jen say? Pretend you're getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. That's 100% it. Yep. And those people are almost completely gone, if not gone now, to where I look.
I know where one is buried.
You're not telling anybody though, are you? The looking and seeing that I'm 3/4 of the way through my career. I am an old guy now. I don't feel like the old guy. I don't think I look like the old guys looked when I was the young guy, but I think we've become a lot more understanding to that idea because we've almost all done it. There's such a high percentage of paramedics or former paramedics now that we all remember where we came from, lack of a better term. All 3 battalion chiefs were paramedics. All 3 captains were paramedics. Chief Treeler was a paramedic. That in your generation, Frank Magman was never a paramedic because the program wasn't there yet when he would have gone. You're probably 2 generations into when we got the paramedic program.
Oh, geez, I'd hate to even think. I mean, Goose.
Was he a first gen?
Oh, he can't be. He's not that old.
Oh, he's super old.
You hear about him. He does codes in his sleep. He'd come back in the morning and have coffee. And go, yeah, how'd that code go? What code? He's like, he never had to wake up, and he worked.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
Oh, yeah. That guy was the biggest buffaloer in the world because he would act like he didn't care or he was just dumb. And you'd talk to him for 5 minutes and you realize, I'm like, that's not you at all.
Oh, he's got a heart of gold.
I wouldn't tell him that.
No,
but
I wouldn't either.
he's got a heart
I'd
full of
let that
stents
out.
now, I think. Yeah, for sure. What else am I missing? What do you guys like to do? We talked a little bit what you like to do for fun. How do you stay mentally healthy? Because the two of you that are still on, you're on the ambulance every day
Yeah.
because we're short. Ani, you're assigned to a medic. Hillary, you're young enough that you're just not going to smell a lot of truck action yet because
Right.
there's guys with 5 times more experience on this ambulance service than
Right.
you do. So what do you do? I mean, how do you got to go home to kids. Now it's school time. You got to make sure they go off to school. You got to pick them up. How do you not just open a bottle of Jack and drive them in the van to
It's
school?
tough sometimes. It really is.
You can't get that unscrewed.
Yeah. You got to drive with your knee.
Yeah, right. No, they walk to school. I go to the gym, and that helps a lot.
That being said, I can hear sirens in the background.
Yep.
I'm deaf as all get out, but I still hear
You can always
sirens.
hear them.
Ani, we never really answered your question. You run, which I don't think is considered fun.
Well, I don't have kids, so I can go home and drink. So
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
I don't know. I really don't do a lot. I'm kind of a boring person outside of running and traveling.
Boring people are like my favorite people. Yeah.
I do some writing, but
Oh, what are you writing?
like details you want to know?
Well, I mean, do you write poetry or you write a novel?
Well, the ending.
Well, the ending. No. Well, I started writing screenplays in probably high school.
Yeah.
It was something that I wanted to do, so
Awesome.
I'll do that.
In English or French?
I've done one in French, yeah.
Man, I took 4 years of high school in French. I don't know. So here's a conversation. The first time Ani ever tailsboards for me on the truck. What'd you go to school for? French. I took 4 years of high school in French, and then she started speaking in French. I don't know any. That was a long time ago.
I do mine with ketchup now.
Yeah. Very good. Anything else?
Can I
Yeah.
give a blurb?
Yep.
I did a CAN report for the Iowa Donor Network. So it's conditions, actions, and needs, right?
Yep.
So our conditions are 630 Iowans are right now waiting for a life-saving organ donation, and over 105,000 in the United States. Actions, you can sign up anytime online, iowadonornetwork.org. Needs, one organ donor can save 8 lives. A tissue donor can enhance the lives of 50 to 300 people. Anyone can donate, any age, doesn't matter your health history, you can sign up to save a life.
Absolutely.
And that's a can do.
Perfect. We'll have those addresses and numbers on the show notes.
I got it. Yes, I have it here.
Yep. So we'll hand it to my producer, and we'll make sure that it gets put in.
That'd be good.
Awesome. I appreciate you three ladies coming in. You guys have known as well. You two as well. I'll leave the station. I'm like, all right, see you, gang, or see you guys. I've tried to switch it to at least saying gang as
It always
opposed to
makes me
guys.
giggle when
Guys.
Guys, and
and girl. Yeah.
Everyone involved. If you can hear me, have a great day. Keep it in the
You didn't
barn.
ask how I keep my mental health.
How do you keep your mental
I
health?
haven't.
No,
Well, I
that's
mean, right.
right.
Okay.
No, it's obvious.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, it's
Just wanted to
very
make sure
clear.
everybody knew.
I thought that was maybe a line we didn't want to cross.
It's a dotted line. but
Yeah,
it still is.
perfect. Yeah, a little faded, but it's fine. Perfect. All right, thank you guys.
Thanks.
In retrospect, I don't know if I'll have 3 guests on at one time again. I feel this for 2 main reasons. 1, I felt it was super hard to keep on any sort of topic. And 2, I didn't have nearly enough time to talk with each of them. I mean, we were 3/4 of the way through the interview, and Ani drops the fact that she's written screenplays, one of them in French. I don't have time to metabolize that in my brain. I think, to be fair, I'd like to have each of them on individually. This podcasting gig is a lot harder than it looks. Angie and I are still enjoying the process of it, though, and I hope we're getting better. Lastly, I'd like to repeat that info that Judy gave us in her can report. There are 630 Iowans waiting for a life-saving organ transplant, and over 105,000 people waiting for a transplant in the U.S. All you need to do is go to iowadonornetwork.org. So it's a website, so it's all one word, .org. Her needs were: one organ donor can save up to 8 lives, and a single tissue donor can enhance the lives between 50 to 300 people. Anyone can donate, regardless of their medical history, their age, occupation, anything. They'll do all the tests to determine whether or not they can donate or not. Angie will be sure to add that website to the sign up in the show notes. If you feel uncomfortable with the idea of donating, start small by donating blood or plasma. Plasma donating isn't even really donating, they pay you cash money. As far as donating blood, I admit that I'm a little salty that the blood drive I ramrodded for WFR and the Red Cross did as poorly as it did. For 30 minutes of your time, you could have gotten snacks, a quick health check, 20 minutes of straight chill the F out time, a t-shirt, a $10 gift card, and a smoked pork loin sandwich, chips, and a drink. Oh yeah, and maybe you might have saved a life as well. In the future, please consider donating. I'd like to thank our guests today, Ani Agbesi, Hillary Mayer, and Judy Ridinghouse, for stopping in. Thanks to my producer, Angie Beck, for pressing the right buttons, and Caleb Martin for the original music. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to the Can Report through your favorite streaming service and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at The Can Report on Facebook and Can_Report on Instagram. Until next time, I'm your host, Bill Beck, telling you to get out there and have your voice heard.